When a trawler pulls in a rather disturbing find on the coast of Sydney, Australia, it would have people questioning for over 24 years who is Rackman and what happened to him. Okay, let's go. I don't know why, but it seems that a lot of true crime stories start with a fisherman doing his job or someone going fishing and seeing something they shouldn't, and that is exactly how today's case starts. The Hawkesbury River is located northwest of Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. And on Thursday, the 11th of August 1994, Neil Peterson was starting his workday like he normally would by not going to work. That would be my starting the workday.
Well, that's how I would want to start my workday.
He was a fisherman on the Lady Marion. That was currently trawling the Hawkesbury River. And when he pulled in his nets early that morning, I bet he didn't think he would make the gruesome discovery that he was about to.
A mermaid.
It was a mermaid. So Neil recalls pulling the net in, and he stated, "As I pulled it in, I saw there were plastic bags tied to it, and then I saw a bone stuck out of one of the bags."
Could be a fish bone.
Never know.
Could be a big fish bone.
Could be. You see, he had pulled up what looked like a steel crucifix frame, and attached to the frame was the decomposing body of a man, wrapped in plastic, tied to the steel makeshift cross. The body had a noose wrapped around the neck, along with other wires and ropes around the torso, wrist, knees, ankles, and then bound to the makeshift cross.
Oh no. Do you know what went through my head then?
What?
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
No.
It's so bad. Shouldn't.
No.
But you just listed all of the parts.
We're a bit like that though, hey?
What?
Hearing a word and then be like, in our heads.
And we're not diagnosed with ADHD.
Not at all. The fisherman immediately contacted local police, and it wouldn't be long before the body was sent to the New South Wales Institute of Forensic Science, where the body was examined by Dr. Christopher Lawrence. What a good doctor name, just saying.
Christopher Lawrence.
Christopher Lawrence. Dr. Lawrence, we need you in here. When the plastic was removed from the body, they were able to find clothes, hair, soft tissue, and adipocere attached to the remains. And I was like, what the fuck is adipocere? And it's grave wax, or a waxy substance formed during the decomposition of a body in moist or wet conditions.
Yeah, that's not.
Now
that's
you
not
know.
Great. Well, that actually, do you know what that made me think of? Have you ever boiled like pork or something before, and then there's all that sort of waxy scum that rises to the top of the pot?
No,
Neither.
That's disgusting. Forensics would determine that the man had been submerged in the water somewhere between 6 and 12 months, and they were able to give a description of the man, although it would end up being rather
Sorry, pause for
unspecific.
you for 1 second. First of all, man. Okay, so now we're not a male. Second of all, up to 12 months, and there was soft tissue still there?
Yeah, so the body was wrapped in
like plastic and stuff.
Plastic, and then it seemed like there was another tarp over the top of that as well.
But this is also in Australia, and it's kind of warm, so that to me just seems a little bit strange.
Odd. Yeah, so I think the body was right down the bottom, hence the trawling.
Go.
The remains belong to a dark-haired Caucasian man, roughly 160 to 166 centimetres, and aged between 21 and 46. Because we remember 1994 DNA wouldn't have been where it is today, especially if the body's being underwater.
That's also a massive gap. 24 to 46. There's a couple years in between.
And Caucasian man with dark hair.
Well, I mean, they're a dime a dozen, aren't they?
They're everywhere.
But, I mean, Caucasian Italian, is that Caucasian?
Yeah.
I mean, it might be. They're just Italian, but they're still white.
Yeah. The doctor also couldn't tell if the man had died before he was attached to the steel frame or if he died in the process of it. The man had no personal belongings on him except a packet of cigarettes and a lighter. And his clothing didn't stand out, and I saw it in a lot of reports. It was described as a mass-produced Australian outfit. So it was just like track pants and a polo shirt. So nothing brand-wise that would stick out.
Just something generic.
So white man, dark hair, generic clothes. Apparently at the time there were no missing persons reports that kind of fitted that rather vague description. Also, we know what happens to bodies.
Sorry.
What?
Yeah, it's just some white dude.
Some white guy found at the bottom of the water. Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not the finding a corpse and dead person. That stuff's not funny, but it really is just the most generic description of a generic
Literally.
white person
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. Fingerprints and facial features were eroded because we know what happens to decomposing bodies in water.
Done. It had been like 12 months at least around.
You think about when your skin's in the bath.
5 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, being in the water, everything had eroded. They couldn't get anything to extract. They were able to do a facial reconstruction by his bone structure. I'm sorry for the digression that is about to be in session, but my oh my, I find it fascinating that we can just tell by someone's bones who they are and what they might have looked like. It's very interesting.
Do you ever watch Reconstructing History?
I think I need to. I've never seen it.
It's actually amazing. Or it's not called that, but it's something very similar. Sorry to steal your limelight for like a second, but it's like they will find bodies from like the Bronze Age, all of that kind of stuff, and then they will do the whole facial reconstruction to see what they would have looked like. And they're like hundreds of years old, and it brings life back to.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like Forensic Cold Case or something. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. It's
Yeah,
really good.
I was like, what streaming service is this on?
Yeah, it's like legit really good, and they'll go through the lifestyle that they would have had and how they would have died and all that kind of stuff. It's really fascinating.
I find it crazy. I know people will probably laugh at me, but even just down to being able to identify that it was male or female, just by the bone structure and everything. Like, it's wild what we can do with bones.
Did I tell you that I was indoctrinated to believe that there was the whole belief that they taught you in church that women had one less rib than a man.
Oh, yeah.
Because basically Adam removed a rib and Eve was made out of that.
Yeah.
And that's how you can also tell a female from a male, because they have like one less rib. And I remember trying to say that as an adult to someone, like, oh, you can tell what that would have been, just count the ribs. And they're like, what? And then I said, well, count the ribs because women have one less rib than a man. And they're like, that is Christian bullshit. Oh, no. That's not factual at all. And then I looked it up and I was like, I'm dumb. I believed something still from the church, and I'm not
religion.
Christian. Yeah. Indoctrinating and misleading people since Jesus lost his sandals. So I don't know.
I gave my rib for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why women are
cursed.
You witch. So I just found that so weird. So I'm like, okay, you just stuck your hand in and pulled out a rib and go, here you go. So yes, the image they created would be put into newspapers and posted on the TV for months, as police just had nothing to go off. And when looking into this case, I found one very interesting line I found in a news article, and I quote, "In the forensic lab, he was given the unceremonious name of unknown human remains E48293. But in media circles, he was dubbed the arguably less humane Rack Man, based on the steel frame he was attached to." And I was like, ooh, that is a way to go.
Both of those really roll off the tongue. Both of them, such good names.
But like, what a way to go, and then be left in a room be left in a room known only as human remains, and then Rackman around everyone else. So yeah, just a weird name. At the time, a reward of around $100,000 was in place, which would be around $208,108.64 in today's money.
So
but
not
nothing
that
came
much
of it.
More.
Yeah, it's a bit of money though to find just for some information, $100,000. Because the police had nothing to go off, they started diving into the details around this custom-built steel-framed crucifix. And I mean, come on, how sinister does it look? But you haven't seen it, but I'll show you it.
No, I'm good. Like, I don't have to see it. The idea alone is a bit...
Can you imagine going, oh, what's that steel frame? Oh, gosh.
Oh, God, what's that attached to it? Oh, my God, there's some flesh and some wax and some hair. Bones.
Yeah. As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, what have you done? Or what message is this trying to send? So yes, when looking more into the frame, they realized that it matched the man perfectly. And they also said that the weight of it showed that it wouldn't have been just a one-man job. Like, apparently it was that heavy. You would have had to have a few more people. But the biggest question was, who made this? Were they aware a person was going to be attached to it? And who dumped the body?
Like, specifically, did they make that for that reason?
Right. Like, did some random just go, hey, just need a steel frame?
Why? No reason.
So many questions. And there was one podcast that I listened to where a police officer was talking about, he knew a lot about welding and stuff. And he's like, oh, it'd be interesting to see how it was welded, because it would let you know if it's someone who is pretty skilled
Like
and
a skilled
qualified.
welder or someone who just
doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't even think of that. So many questions would go unanswered for nearly 24 years.
24 years.
Yes, this case was a cold case up until August 2018.
Ooh. So wait, we also know who it is now too? Ooh.
I found it very weird, like they found the body in August and then they identified the person in August. It's weird, right?
Ooh.
Creepy. Before we dive into who Rackman is, I just wanted to go through just a couple of rumors, because there was a lot of talk around the time of who it could have been and over the years as well. Some people thought it could have been a convicted drug dealer, Joe Bibiano, who was born in 1963 and went missing in 1993. He kind of matched the description of dark hair, around the same age, height roughly as well. Samples were taken from family members, and unfortunately nothing matched the little remains they had. Also, another digression, and I am not sorry, Australian underbelly. Very fascinating.
Squizzy.
Yeah, so a lot of this came up, like there was kind of some shady people that came up and stuff, and I was just like, that's very interesting. I never saw Australia as a true crime kind of, I'm just like, compared to America, like we're nothing.
Oh yeah.
But it's like underbelly of Australia.
Listen, it exists anywhere you have people.
It's crazy. So fascinating. There was one man that was of interest to police, and a lot thought maybe it could be Max Tenchevsky, who was a heavy gambler and known to travel to the Gold Coast to gamble as well, and could be gone for days. And he was last seen on January 1993 with a sum of around $1,800 or $3,700 in today's money, in cash, on him.
Moolah.
So strangely enough, on the 29th of August 2018, the Australian Missing Persons Register would update to say that due to advances in DNA technology and with little to no fanfare, the New South Wales Deputy State Coroner Paul McMahon has ruled the mystery remains are that of 36-year-old Sydney man and known gambler Max Tenchevsky.
Oh, so it was Max.
So they thought it was him originally, but they were like, oh, don't know. And they found out it was him.
Ah, so he obviously owed some money to some bad people. He couldn't pay it, so then they took his life.
So that's exactly what I thought as well. Makeshift cross, literally stuck down to the bottom, where only trawlers would end up dislodging you. You're a gambler.
It's also kind of similar to like what the mob would do, right? Not saying that's where he got his money from, I don't know, but they would do things like concrete boots, and you're swimming with the fishies. Maybe this was a different version thereof.
And also, if you're travelling to the Gold Coast from Sydney just to gamble, chances are you're in pretty deep into something.
Oh yeah, but also more because of the fact that you can't even gamble at your home. You have to go interstate to go and gamble. So do you think it's people from maybe Sydney that caught up with him, or maybe he got some debts in the Gold Coast and it followed him back?
Yeah,
Or Phuket and Los Dos.
Yeah, maybe a bit of both. Part of me was like, did he go to the Gold Coast, do something bad, and that's why travel to the Gold Coast to not rob, but kind of cheat money in whatever form of gambling he was doing, or maybe lending, and thought, if I don't live here, I can run back and forth, and then, yeah, maybe they ended up catching up to him. So outside of articles in 2018 and 2019, I could not find a single shred of information as to the case being solved around the why. Like, who put him there? Why did this happen? There's nothing. All I can assume is that now in March 2024, at time of recording of this episode, that we have no information as to what happened. And I will end today's episode, Dear Mung Beans, with if you have any current information regarding this case, or may have seen or known something that may have never been reported, and you need to report something in regards to this case, contact Crime Stoppers on 1-800-333-000. And that, Dear Mung Beans, is the what in the actual happened to Max Tenchevsky, aka Rackman.
Do you know what's funny? When I was looking through, I was looking through cold cases to do because I do find them interesting. I find them sad and I find them hard to do because I want the answer, and a lot of the times you don't have it. So it's just a senseless killing, right? But the name the Rat Man did come up. I didn't look at it.
Oh, really?
But, yeah. Ooh. I didn't look at it, but
yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't because it was interesting.
I'd never heard of it before, and I think I was literally searching for weirdest cases, and I saw Rackman. I was like, what the heck is a Rackman?
Wait a minute.
I was like, does he like tartars? Rackman?
Oh, rack, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's that, or maybe he puts people on racks. Could have been anything, really.
A lot of questions.
So many questions.
And those people that probably did that to him are still out there today, if not already dead. But they
I
lived
mean,
a while.
What, 1994, did you say?
Yeah.
Was when, like, it happened. That also does not feel like it's the first and only time they've done that. So maybe they're not always crucifying them and chucking them to the bottom of the ocean. Maybe there's other ways, but that doesn't feel like something that they haven't done before. Cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And on that note,
Bye.
bye.
It's fine.
Oh, you can't hear.
That was very breathy. Oh, hello.
Can you hear me? No, keep going. 34, bit of a gap. Mind the gap. What?
The way you said noose.
Anus. Anus? Anus?
But he had anus.
He had an anus.
Oh no, it's not even funny. It's so bad.
It was so bad. Oh god. And adipokery. Adipocere. Disgust on your face. Adipocere.
Adipocere.
Adipocere. And I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Took me a while to get there. Good time.
I've got my head now.